My name is Mohan Gopal, and I would like to begin by just saying a couple of words about the program, and then request Professor Vidyut, our moderator, to take over and moderate, and then I will speak when my turn comes. As we all know, the question, are our courts delivering justice, is actually a very widely debated question for many years inside and outside the legal system. There have been very many discussions, rightly and appropriately, on asking this question from the point of view of gender justice and poverty. So are courts delivering justice for women? And are our courts delivering justice for the poor? A question that has not received adequate attention, and this may be perhaps one of the first occasions to open up this topic, is the question, are our courts delivering justice for the caste marginalized? And so we have a very distinguished panel to help us open up this topic and look at it. And the panelists here are well known for looking at systemic and structural issues and problems. So our objective is clearly not to look at personalities or be overwhelmed by personalities of judges or lawyers or litigants, but to look at the structural issues and to ask the question, are courts delivering justice for the caste marginalized? Clearly, they're not, because a very large section of the victims of the justice system, namely the first victim is those who are wrongly accused and framed. And our last discussion was on this issue of framing of innocent people by the state. So those who are framed and dragged into courts and for needless reasons, for simply exercising their freedom of speech. And we have Mr. Kancha Elaya, who is a very noteworthy and example of someone who has been harassed in this manner. And then the next step is then once that wrong framing takes place, then as under trials, the very large number of people, 70% of the people in our jails are under trials, and very large proportion of them are from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and socially and economically backward communities, and also very poor. And so clearly, the vast majority of those who are in jail as under trials, who are victims of the system and its failures, are also from the lower caste and the marginalized caste. I don't like to use the word lower, so we use the word caste marginalized. And also in terms of the convictions and sentences, we have not had a study, but we clearly know that a lot of the harsh sentences that are delivered by our system goes to the poorest. And we also know from a lot of statistics, including National Sample Survey statistics, that the vast majority of poor are SC, ST, SC, BC. And so, therefore, we know that the brunt of the failure of the justice system are borne by the caste marginalized. And on one hand, going further, we also feel that one of the reasons for this, the hypothesis, is that the concepts of justice of the caste marginalized are different from those who, the privileged, who are occupying top positions in legal education, in the bar, and on the bench. And that leads us to the next issue, that the lack of representation, lack of voice of the caste marginalized in these various realms of the legal system are also very, very important reasons why the legal system is not working in a sensitive way or in a just way to the caste marginalized by all evidence that is available. So we thought we will use this session not so much to look at it from the point of view of the legal system looking outwards at the caste marginalized, but start by looking at the judicial system, the courts, and their performance from the point of view of the caste marginalized, and then make that our fundamental basis, And then in another session that we will organize, we will actually look at the problem from the point of view of the judicial system to see what the problems that we are identifying today are and how we will deal with those problems. What I'm hoping to do at the end of this discussion, which is in two parts, as our moderator will explain, is see if we can draft a 1 or 2 page letter identifying the main issues faced by the caste marginalized in relation to the judicial system, whether it's a concept of justice or it is the way that justice system operates, and send it to the Chief Justice of India and the other judges of the Supreme Court, Chief Justices and judges of high courts, so that they will hear from these discussions today. We'll start a process where we will start to convey to them that there is another perspective that is not being heard. And then we will start a process by which hopefully we will start to influence the way in which the legal system evolves to be more just to the caste marginalized. And we are very lucky to have the time of some of the most distinguished voices in this regard, very experienced directly with the judicial system. As I said, Professor Kancha has borne the brunt of challenging the caste order in terms of the law being used against him. Mr. Wilson Bezwada has been a litigant in very important constitutional law cases and has used the courts as a very important instrument of justice while seeking justice for the Safai Karamchari community of our country. So these are people with vast experience, and I look forward to hearing from them. To Vidyut, Professor Vidyut, who is a very distinguished young academic at the Government Law College in Kozhikode, with doing his PhD on justice. In fact, I must say that it is our discussion on its PhD topic that started the idea for these webinars, and very widely read and widely knowledgeable about a variety of issues pertaining to justice, and very committed to the cause of social justice. So over to you, Professor Vidyut.
Thank you so much, Professor Mohan Gopal. I'm very happy that you have introduced the theme of today's discussion very nicely, and also you have indicated the significance of this discussion being the first of its kind in the history of India, we believe. And I'm very happy. I'm not going into the introducing that theme because Professor Mohan Gopal has already done it nicely. So I'll just, only for the sake of formality, though all the panelists here are well known in India, but just for the sake of formality, I'm just introducing them. Firstly, Professor Kancha Elia Shepard, who is a leading figure in the ideological movement against the Indian caste system and has been instrumental in internationalizing Dalit marginalization issues and remaking Indian human rights thoughts for a long time. He's a political theorist, a prolific writer and activist for Dalit rights. And he was a professor and head the Department of Political Science, Osmania University, Hyderabad. He has written very extensively on these issues relating to marginalized communities. And he is influencing a lot of people and encouraging many of them to enter into the cause of uplifting the so-called marginalized communities, caste marginalized communities. I welcome you, sir, for the panelists, and thank you so much for being here to present a discussion on it. And secondly, I would like to introduce Bezwada Wilson. Again, I don't need to introduce him. He's famous in India as the recipient of the Magsaysay Award, Ramon Magsaysay Award in July 2016. He's also an Indian activist, one of the founders and national convener of the Safai Karamchari Andolan, an Indian human rights organization campaigning for the eradication of manual scavenging. Recognizing his community work, Ashoka Foundation nominated him a senior fellow, and he has been contributing for the betterment of the manual scavengers in India, and also executing and implementing the laws relating to them, which has been violated quite frequently in Indian experience. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the presentation, and we hope we could hear you different perspectives from your side. And thirdly, none other than Professor G. Mohan Gopal, who is actually the force behind this organization. And again, we don't require any introduction, but still, for formality's sake, I would just say that he's a leading voice on judicial reform and justice in India, and he has been director of National Judicial Academy of the Supreme Court of India from 2006 till 2011. Professor Mohan Gopal heads the National Court Management System Committee of the Supreme Court, which is pioneered by him as a new national focal point for systemic improvement of the judicial system. And he's a former Vice Chancellor of National Law School of India, Bangalore, former member of various national regulatory bodies like Law Commission, SEBI, UGC, News Broadcasting Standards Authority, and he also has got a lot of international exposure. He has worked at World Bank in Washington for 2 decades, and he was the chief counsel in the legal department. And he was an adjunct professor at Georgetown University Law School, Washington, and also National University of Singapore. He has got a very extensive experience in this field, and he holds a doctoral degree in law from Harvard Law School, from where he obtained a master's degree in law as well. And welcome, sir, for the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
And next, that would be on the second session. The other panelist is Sunny M. Kapikada, who is well known not only in Kerala but also in India. He's a public intellectual, writer, and a philosopher. He has taken active part in various protests in Kerala for protecting the rights of Dalits, an influential orator who has been vocal about the marginalization of the downtrodden. And by profession, he is an LIC employee, and he has also written quite influential books in vernacular language in Malayalam, Kerala. Though he has not entered right now, probably he'll be joining soon. I welcome Sunny M. Kapikada for this session. And last but not the least, Dr. Binu Paul, who is currently head of the MBA department, Christ Deemed University, Lavasa, holds a PhD from the Department of Applied Economics, CUSAT, Cochin University of Science and Technology. His work focused on the income, livelihood, and education of tribal communities in Kerala. Worked as research associate at the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, CUSAT, where he worked on multiple research projects aimed at socio-economic aspects of marginalized sections in the society. So I welcome Dr. Binu Paul for the session, and we'll be waiting for your presentation in the second session. And I'll just tell you how we will be conducting this. We'll be conducting this meeting in 2 sessions, and the first session, that would be exclusively in English. Second session would be a combination of Malayalam and English. And in the first session, we would have Kanja Ilaya Shepherd, Beswada Wilson, and Professor Mohan Gopal as the participants. And in the second session, we would have Sunny M. Kapikada and Binu Paul. So I think we'll just proceed with, you will get, each of the speakers will get 30 minutes time. So please confine within that time limit, because we have extended a bit further to start with. So confine your presentation within 30 minutes. Then after the session is over, we can have a discussion. We can have a question answer session, so that even public could ask questions, and all the members could answer after the particular person has answered to that question. So I think we can proceed with right now. So we'll start the session with Professor Kanja Ilaya Shepherd. Welcome, sir.